Story number 1. The lawmaker that count us down. Mile marker 087 appeared in my headlights at 2:33 a.m. and I knew something was catastrophically wrong because I'd passed mile marker 087 4 times in the last 11 minutes, and my GPS insisted I was still driving forward. This was US Route 50 through Nevada, the so-called loneliest road in America. March 21st, 2024. I was hauling electronics from Sacramento to Salt Lake City. The highway was empty. Had been empty for 90 minutes. No other vehicles. No lights except my own, cutting through absolute desert darkness. Mile marker 0187 slid past. I checked my odometer, checked my GPS. Both confirmed I was moving east, 71 miles per hour. Making progress. 4 minutes later, mile marker 0187 appeared again. I slowed. Stared at the white rectangle as it passed. Same marker, same number. Same slight damage on the lower right corner where something had dented the metal. My GPS showed me as a blue dot moving steadily along Route 50. The road behind me accumulated as a blue line. Forward progress. Normal travel. But the mile markers told a different story. Mile marker 0187. Again. 6 minutes after the previous sighting, I pulled over, shifted into neutral, sat with my flashers on, and tried to rationalize. Maybe I'd misread the numbers. Maybe fatigue was distorting my perception. I'd been driving for 8 hours. The desert darkness was disorienting. I waited 5 minutes, then merged back onto the highway. Accelerated to 70. Watched carefully. Mile marker 187 appeared in my headlights. Then, 1 minute later, mile marker 186. The numbers were counting backwards. I was driving east. My speedometer showed 71 miles per hour. My GPS confirmed eastward travel, but the mile markers were descending. 196. Then 185. Then 185. Then 185. And the intervals were wrong. Mile markers should appear every minute at 70 miles per hour, but these appeared every 40 seconds. Too fast, too frequent. Mile marker 183. Then 182. The countdown accelerating. I grabbed my phone, called dispatch. It rang 8 times before the system disconnected. No signal indicator showed 4 bars, but the call failed. I tried again, same result. Mile marker 189. Then 188. Then 179. The countdown was speeding up. Now a new marker every 30 seconds. My truck's speed hadn't changed. The road looked identical. But the markers descended faster and faster. Mile marker 170. Then 165. Then 165. They were skipping numbers now. The countdown jumping. I was watching the markers blur past white rectangles appearing and vanishing in accelerating rhythm. Mile marker 143. Then 121. Then 94. My headlights showed empty highway, straight road cutting through desert. Nothing unusual. Nothing threatening. Just the markers counting down with increasing urgency. Mile marker 67. Then 41. Then 18. What happens at mile marker 0? The question filled my head with dread. What happens when the countdown completes? Mile marker 9. Then 6. Then 3. I could see it ahead now. Mile marker 1. Then beyond it, a marker that gleamed different. Not white. Red. Reflecting my headlights with the color of arterial blood. Mile marker 0 rushed toward me. I slammed the brakes. The truck's weight fought the deceleration. 71 miles per hour to 60, to 45. The red marker growing in my windshield, to 20 miles per hour, to 10. Mile marker 0 past my driver's window doing maybe 8 miles per hour. The world inverted. I can't describe it better than that. Reality folded. The desert became sky. The sky became road. My truck was simultaneously upright and inverted. Gravity pulled in all directions and none. I felt my internal organs shift, felt my blood flow backwards, felt time run in reverse while also running forward. The sensation lasted either 3 seconds or 3 hours. I couldn't distinguish, then everything normalized. I was driving on US 50, 71 miles per hour, eastward, the road empty and dark. Mile marker 188 appeared in my headlights. Not 0, not 1, 188, one number higher than where the countdown had started. I checked my GPS. It showed me in the correct position, showed route continuity, like nothing had happened. But my fuel gauge had dropped. When the countdown started, I'd had 3/4 of a tank. Now I showed 1/8. I'd burned 5/8 of a tank in the time between mile marker 187 and mile marker 188. My odometer had advanced 263 miles. I'd driven 263 miles to whatever existed between mile marker 187 and mile marker 188. Through the countdown. Through mile marker 0 through. But I had no memory of it. Just the countdown, the red marker, the folding reality, and the normal highway. I drove to the next town, Austin, Nevada. Population 192. Single gas station. I pulled in at 3:47 a.m. The attendant was a woman in her 60s named Claire. She saw my face when I walked in and immediately asked, "You drove the countdown, didn't you?" "What?" "Mile marker, 187. The loop. You got caught." She wasn't asking. She was stating. "How do you know?" Claire pointed to a wall behind the counter. It was covered with Polaroid photographs. Dozens of them. All showing drivers. All looking shocked, pale, disturbed. Below each photo was a date and a number. "Every driver who survives the countdown stops here," Claire said. "Eventually. They need to confirm it was real. Need to know they're not insane." I approached the wall, studied the photos. The dates range from 1993 to 3 weeks ago. The numbers written below each photo varied. 217 miles, 240 miles, 189 miles, 422 miles. What are the numbers? How far they traveled through the nowhere, Claire said. The space between 187 and 188. You go in, you come out. But you've driven miles that don't exist on any map. Miles through somewhere else. What is it? Nobody knows. It appeared in 1992, October 17th. Some people think it was an earthquake. The Landers quake earlier that year destabilized something, opened something. Now there's a fold in Route 50, a place where the road touches somewhere it shouldn't. Claire pulled out a Polaroid camera. "How many miles did your odometer advance?" 263. She nodded. "Raise the camera. Look at me." I did. The flash popped. The photo slid out. Claire wrote March 21, 2024 to 263 miles and pinned it to the wall. "You're lucky," she said. "You came back. Not everyone does." "What do you mean?" Claire pointed to a separate section of the wall. 7 photographs. Each showed an empty truck cab photographed from outside. Driver's seat vacant, door open, keys in the ignition. "These trucks came through," Claire said, "drove themselves to this gas station. Engines running, but no drivers. They'd gone into the countdown and never came out. The trucks traveled anywhere from 400 to 900 miles through the nowhere. But the drivers," she shrugged, "gone." I studied the photos, recognized one truck, a blue Freightliner with a distinctive eagle decal. I'd seen memorial posts about that driver on Trucker Watch. He disappeared on Route 50 in 2018. His truck had been found abandoned at this gas station. No trace of the driver ever found. "Where do they go?" I asked. "Into the nowhere. Into the space between mile markers. Some people think the countdown is a countdown to exit. That mile marker 0 is a threshold. If you're lucky, you pass through and come back. If you're not," Claire gestured to the photos of empty trucks, "you become part of the nowhere. Permanent." I bought coffee. Sat in Claire's small office. She'd been documenting the countdown for 32 years. Had a filing cabinet full of incident reports, driver testimonies, and research. "The countdown changes," Claire said, pulling out folders. "It started at mile marker 247 in 1992. Every year, it moves approximately 7 miles west. Currently, it's at 187. By my calculations, it'll reach Austin, our town, in about 8 years. What happens then? I don't know. Maybe the nowhere swallows us. Maybe the countdown resets. Maybe it stops." She showed me graphs tracking the progression. But it's consistent. 7.3 miles per year. Westward. Like something is expanding, growing. "Have you driven it?" Claire nodded. "Twice. Once in 1995 when it was at mile marker 231. I traveled 112 miles through the nowhere. Came back. Second time was 2009 at mile marker 198. Traveled 467 miles. Came back. But I was older. Older. She pulled up her sleeve, showed me her forearm. The skin was wrong. Patches of it looked decades older than the surrounding tissue. Like sections of her arm had aged independently. Time moves wrong in the nowhere, Claire said. Most drivers don't notice because they're only there subjectively a few seconds. But the distance traveled suggests hours, sometimes days, and that time has to come from somewhere. For me, it came from my body. 467 miles through the nowhere aged parts of me, 20 years in what felt like 5 seconds. I looked at my hands. They seemed normal. But I felt different. Hollow, like something had been extracted. Check your memories, Claire said quietly, from childhood. Count them. Many drivers report that after the countdown, they have fewer memories, like the time spent in the nowhere had to be paid for. So it takes memories, takes past moments to fuel present travel. I tried to remember my 7th birthday. Couldn't. Tried to remember my first day of school. Nothing. Tried to remember my grandmother's face. Blank. The memories were gone. Extracted. Payment for 263 miles through nowhere. I'm sorry, Claire said. That's the price. The countdown takes you through impossible space, but it demands payment, memories, time, parts of yourself. Most drivers lose small things, but some lose everything. Come back as shells, alive but empty. I left Austin at dawn, drove east towards Salt Lake City. Made my delivery. Returned to Sacramento. I should have taken I-80 back. Should have avoided Route 50 forever. But I didn't. 3 weeks later, I was driving westbound on Route 50. 2:40 a.m. Empty highway. Mile marker 188 appeared. Then mile marker 188 appeared. Then mile marker 187. The countdown didn't trigger. I passed through normally, continued west. But mile marker 186 never appeared. After 187, the next marker was 185. Mile marker 186 had vanished. The countdown had consumed it. The nowhere had expanded. I measured carefully on my return trip. The distance between 187 and 185 was 3.6 miles. Exactly double the normal spacing. Mile marker 186, and the mile it represented had been deleted from reality. Replaced with nothing. The nowhere is growing. 7 miles per year vertically. But also expanding horizontally, consuming mile markers. Soon 2 mile markers will be gone. Then 3, then 5. I posted my experience on Trucker Watch. Got 93 responses. 41 other drivers had experienced the countdown. 17 had lost memories. 8 reported physical aging. 4 described losing the ability to taste or smell senses deleted as payment. One driver username, 40ever, Reyes T. Bound, wrote, I drove the countdown in January. Mile marker 187 to 188. My odometer advanced 612 miles. When I came out, I couldn't remember my daughter's name. Can't remember her face. I have photos. She's called me 17 times since January, but I don't recognize her voice. The nowhere took her from my memory, completely, like she never existed for me. Another ghost. Poor Schworl said, I went through twice. First time cost me memories. Second time cost me something else. I can't see the color red anymore. Everything that should be red is just gray. Traffic lights, stop signs, blood, all gray. The nowhere took my perception of red as payment for the second journey. The countdown is still there, still catching drivers between mile marker 187 and mile marker 188 on US Route 50 in Nevada. Still taking payment in memories, time, senses, pieces of self. Claire updates her wall every week. More photos, more dates, more miles traveled through nowhere. Last week she called me. Her voice was wrong, distant. The countdown triggered at mile marker 186, she said. It's moved, earlier than projected. And there's something else. The drivers who come through now, they're reporting seeing things in the nowhere. Not just empty space, structures, lights, movement. What kind of structures? Wrong structures. Buildings that couldn't exist. roads that loop through themselves, mile markers that show numbers in the thousands, millions, like the nowhere is bigger than we thought. Like it's not just empty space between 2 mile markers, it's an entire geography. And we've been traveling tiny distances through an infinite landscape. Are you still documenting? Yes, but I'm scared. The countdown will reach Austin in 8 years, maybe 7 now. And when it does, our entire town might slip into the nowhere, become part of that impossible geography, another structure in an endless desert that exists between mile markers. I don't drive Route 50 anymore, haven't since April. But I dream about it. Dream about the countdown, about mile marker zero's red gleam, about the moment reality inverted. And in my dreams, I'm still driving, still counting down. And the countdown never reaches 0. It just descends forever. Mile marker -100, -1000, -1,000,000, driving deeper into the nowhere that has no bottom and no end. Story number 2. The hitchhiker with Pieters in your back seat. I picked up nobody on Highway 191 through Montana. But when I checked my rearview mirror at 3:17 a.m., a woman in a wedding dress sat in my back seat with her throat cut open and her eyes watching me with desperate intensity. This was April 4th, 2024. I was driving a rental car. My personal vehicle was in the shop heading from Great Falls to Bozeman. 2-lane highway through absolute wilderness. No towns, no lights. Just darkness and occasional reflective animal eyes at the roadside. I'd been alone since leaving Great Falls. Completely alone. I'd stopped once at a rest area, used the bathroom, checked my car. Empty back seat, empty trunk. Nobody around. Back on the highway, I was maybe 40 minutes from that rest stop when I adjusted my rearview mirror and saw her. She sat directly behind the driver's seat. White wedding dress soaked with blood. The blood was fresh, still spreading, still dripping onto the rental car's gray upholstery. Her throat had been opened from ear to ear. The wound gaped. I could see tissue, cartilage, the severed ends of major vessels. But she was alive. Her chest rose and fell. Her eyes blinked. Her mouth moved like she was trying to speak, but only blood bubbled from the throat wound. I screamed, swerved. The car fishtailed. I fought for control. Got the vehicle stable. Pulled over hard onto the shoulder. I turned around to look at the back seat directly. Empty. Nobody there. The upholstery was clean. No blood. No woman. No evidence anyone had been present. I turned back forward. Checked the rearview mirror. She was there again. Sitting exactly as before. Wedding dress. Cut throat. Eyes locked on mine in the mirror's reflection. I grabbed my phone. Turned on the flashlight. Pointed it at the back seat. Empty. Turned off the flashlight. Looked in the mirror. She was there. Raising one hand slowly. Her fingers were white. Bloodless. She pointed at something outside my window. Her mouth moved. Blood streamed down her dress. I looked where she pointed. Saw only darkness and highway shoulder. When I looked back at the mirror, she was closer. Leaning forward. Her face inches from the back of my headrest. The throat wound visible in horrible detail. I could see her severed trachea, could see bone deep in the wound. She raised her hand again, pointed more emphatically. Her mouth formed words. No sound, but I could read her lips. Look. Please. Look. I got out of the car, walked around to the passenger side where she'd been pointing. My phone's flashlight illuminated the roadside. There was a gap in the trees. A dirt road, barely visible. No sign. No marker. Just 2 tire tracks leading into forest. The woman appeared in my peripheral vision, standing beside the car, visible in the edge of my sight, but vanishing when I looked directly at her. She walked toward the dirt road. Her wedding dress dragged in the gravel. Blood dripped behind her, like a trail. I can't see you, I said. I can only see you in reflections and peripherals. She stopped, turned, her mouth moved. Please, I should have left, should have driven away. Every survival instinct screamed to get back in the car and accelerate, but her eyes there with such desperate need in them, such pleading. I followed her into the trees. The dirt road wound through forest. My phone's flashlight provided minimal illumination. The woman stayed ahead of me, visible in my peripheral vision, leading, occasionally looking back to ensure I followed. We walked for maybe 7 minutes. The dirt road opened into a clearing. A car sat in the center. White sedan, late 90s model. Windows shattered, doors open. The interior was destroyed, blood everywhere, shredded upholstery, broken glass embedded in the seats. And in the driver's seat, a skeleton wearing the remnants of a tuxedo. I approached slowly. The skeleton's skull showed trauma. Massive damage to the right side. The tuxedo was stained with ancient blood. Wedding boutonniere still pinned to the lapel. Dried flowers, dead roses. The woman appeared in the car's side mirror, standing behind me. Her reflection showed her placing one hand on the skeleton's shoulder. A gesture of tenderness, of sorrow. I understood. This is your husband, I said. You were married. This happened on your wedding night. The mirror showed her nodding, tears mixed with blood running down her face. How long have you been here? She held up fingers. First 7, then more complex gestures. I pulled out my phone. She watched me type numbers as she indicated. 23 years. She'd been here. Been dead for 23 years. I called 911. The dispatcher struggled to understand my location. I used my phone's GPS coordinates, described the mile marker on Highway 191, where I'd turned onto the dirt road. Please send police, I said. I found human remains, a vehicle. I think it's a cold case. Officers arrived 47 minutes later. I led them to the clearing. They saw the car, the skeleton. They called for investigators. While we waited, a sergeant named Patterson asked me questions. How I'd found this location. Why I'd been on this dirt road at 3:30 a.m. I couldn't explain about the woman, about the hitchhiker in my back seat. It sounded insane. So I lied, said I'd seen something reflective in the trees, decided to investigate. The investigators arrived at dawn. They photographed everything, documented, removed the skeleton carefully. Patterson approached me as I was preparing to leave. This vehicle was reported missing in May 2001, he said. Newlyweds, Rachel and Thomas Hendrick, left their wedding reception. Never arrived at their hotel. No trace found. Case went cold years ago. What happened to them? We won't know until the forensics are complete. But based on the scene, looks like they were forced off the road, maybe followed from the reception. Someone attacked them, killed them both. The husband died in the car. But Rachel, Patterson gestured toward the forest. We haven't found her body yet. Dobbs are searching. She's here, I said quietly. Somewhere. How do you know? I didn't answer. They found Rachel's remains 3 hours later, 50 yards from the car, partially buried. She'd been killed the same night, throat cut, dumped in the forest, while still wearing her wedding dress. I left Montana the next day, drove straight to Bozeman, returned the rental car. The attendant inspected the vehicle and frowned. Sir, there's blood in the back seat. I went cold. What? He showed me. The rear seat behind the driver's position was stained. Dark discoloration. The pattern suggested someone had bled heavily. This wasn't here when I rented the car, I said. It's fresh, still damp. The attendant touched it, rubbed his fingers together. This is blood. Recent blood. They tested it. The blood was type AB negative. Rachel Hendrick's blood type. The blood had appeared in my rental car sometime during the night. After I'd found her. After I'd called police. After she'd shown me where she died. She'd left evidence. Proof. One final message that she'd been in my car. That she'd guided me. That she'd needed someone to find her after 23 years of waiting in those woods. I researched Highway 191. Found reports on ghost forums and local legend sites. 17 other drivers reported similar experiences. A woman in a wedding dress appearing in their back seat. Only visible in mirrors and peripherals. Always pointing toward that same dirt road. Always leading people to the clearing. Every single driver who followed her called police. Every single one reported the same vehicle and remains. But this was impossible. The remains had only just been discovered. How could she have appeared to 17 previous drivers if her body was still missing? I called Patterson, asked about previous reports. None, he said. You're the first person who ever reported finding this scene. Nobody else has called about this location. Ever. But other drivers saw her. Post online about it. I don't know about that, but our records show 0 reports. You're the first. I checked the forum posts again, read them carefully. The 17 drivers who claimed to have found Rachel's remains had posted on different dates. But when I checked their profiles, every single account had been created the same day the post was made. Single-use accounts. Posted once. Never returned. I started messaging the usernames, asking questions. Only one responded. User Highway, Breester Pontom wrote. I didn't find any remains. I saw her, followed her. But when I reached the clearing, there was nothing. Just forest, no car, no evidence. I thought I'd imagined it. But she was so real in my mirror, so desperate, I couldn't help her. When did this happen? I asked. April 3rd, 2024. One day before my experience. This driver had seen Rachel one day before I found her remains. Another realization struck me. I checked all 17 forum posts, looked at the dates. They ranged from April 1st to April 3rd, 2024, all within the same 4-day window, all in the 72 hours before I found her. Rachel hadn't been appearing for 23 years. She'd appeared suddenly, desperately, in early April, to 17 drivers over 3 days. She'd been trying to get anyone to find her, to finally lead police to her remains. I'd been the 18th driver, the one who followed, the one who called police, and when she'd been found, the appearances stopped. No more forum posts, no more sightings, no more woman in wedding dress appearing in back seats on Highway 191. I received a letter 4 weeks later from Rachel's sister Diane. She'd learned I was the one who found the remains. Thank you, the letter said. Rachel can finally be laid to rest. We've waited 23 years for answers, for closure. You gave us that. The letter included a photograph. Rachel and Thomas on their wedding day, smiling, happy. Rachel wore the white dress I'd seen soaked with blood, but there was something else in the photo. In the background, barely visible, a figure stood near the church exit, blurred, indistinct. But when I looked at it in the right light tilted, the photo at an angle, I could see the figure was also Rachel. Same dress, same posture. But her throat was cut. She was bleeding in her own wedding photo. We never noticed this until after she disappeared. Diane's letter continued. When we reviewed the photos, we found this. Like she'd been haunted by her own death before it happened. Like she'd been there at her own wedding. Already dead. Already trying to warn herself. I keep the photo. Don't know why. Maybe because Rachel saved herself. Maybe because she waited 23 years and then manifested with such intensity that 17 drivers saw her in 72 hours. Maybe because she didn't give up. I drive Highway 191 sometimes. Late at night, I check my rearview mirror. She's not there. She's at rest. But twice now, I've seen someone else. A different figure. A man in a leather jacket. Visible only in the mirror. He doesn't point anywhere. Doesn't communicate. Just sits in the back seat and watches me with hollow eyes. I haven't stopped to investigate. Haven't followed his silent instructions. Because I understand now. Highway 191 to Montana is thin. The barrier between living and dead is worn through. And the dead hitchhike, looking for someone to see them, to follow them, to finally bring their stories to closure. How many are out there? How many ride in back seats, visible only in reflections, waiting for drivers who will listen? I don't know. But I check my mirror compulsively now, and sometimes, late at night, I see passengers I never picked up. Story number 3. The hallway that loops back to yesterday. I entered Interstate 70 westbound in Kansas at 11:47 p.m. on May 9th, 2024. And when I reached the Colorado border 4 hours later, my phone's date read May 8th, and I was receiving text messages from myself warning me not to enter I-70. The drive started normally. Clear weather, empty highway. I was hauling refrigerated produce from Kansas City to Grand Junction. Standard run I'd made dozens of times. The cargo was time-sensitive organic strawberries that had to reach distribution by noon on May 10th. I crossed into Colorado at 3:51 a.m. according to my truck's dash clock. The time felt right. 4 hours of driving at an average 65 miles per hour. The math worked. But when I glanced at my phone to check the route, the date displayed wrong. May 8, 2024, 3:51 a.m. I was living May 9th, had been since midnight. It was currently early morning May 9th, but my phone insisted May 8th. I pulled over at the first rest area, checked my phone settings. Date and time were set to automatic. Network time, not manual. The phone was pulling date information from cellular towers, and those towers said May 8th. I checked my truck's ELD tablet. It logged my driving time by date. According to the ELD, I'd been driving since 11:47 p.m. on May 8th. Currently, it showed May 8, 30:51 a.m. But that was impossible. I'd explicitly waited until May 9th to start driving, had watched my apartment's clock roll past midnight, had started my engine at 11:47 p.m. on May 9th. My phone buzzed. Text message from my own number. Don't take exit 437. Trust me. I stared at the screen. The message came from my phone number. Sent to my phone number. From me to me. I typed back, "Who is this?" The response came immediately. "It's you. From 3 hours ahead. Exit 437 will kill you. Avoid it." This isn't possible. I know. I said the same thing, but I'm texting for May 8th at 6:53 a.m. You're reading this on May 8th at 3:53 a.m. We're in a loop. The highway loops back. I'm ahead of you in time, but behind you in experience. Avoid exit 437. I got out of my truck, walked around, tried to clear my head. This was fatigue, hallucination, stress. Had to be. Another text. It's not hallucination. This is real. The highway loops time. You're driving backward through May 8th. When you reach the end, when you reach 11:47 p.m. on May 7th, you'll loop forward again. But exit 437 leads somewhere else, somewhere outside the loop. I took it. Barely got back. Don't rep. Beat my skate. Prove you're me, I typed. Your mother's maiden name is Kowalski. Your first dog was named Biscuit. You have a scar on your right knee from falling off a bike when you were 9. You're hauling strawberries to Grand Junction. You're scared right now and you're wondering if you finally lost your mind. All correct. All details only I would know. What happens at exit 437? I asked. It exits the loop, takes you to May 8th afternoon. Seems good at first to gain time, but there's something else there. Something that exists in the hours we're skipping. It's why the loop exists, to protect us for May 8th afternoon. Something happened there. Something wrong. The highway is avoiding it, routing us around it through a time loop. I got back in my truck, started driving west, watched for exit 437. It appeared at 4:37 a.m. Large green sign, exit 437, County Road 39, no services. The exit ramp looked normal. Standard interstate off-ramp, nothing unusual. But as I passed it, I saw something at the end of the ramp. A figure, standing motionless, watching traffic. Too far away to see details, but wrong somehow. The posture, the stillness. I didn't take the exit. Continued west on I-70. Another text for myself. Good, you passed it. Now listen carefully. You're going to loop. At 11:47 p.m., May 7th, the highway will reset. You'll be back at the Kansas border, but you'll have memory of the loop. Don't panic. Just drive through again. Avoid exit 437 again. Eventually, you'll break free. How many times have you looped? This is my 4th time. Each loop, I text myself warnings. Each loop, I learn more. The first loop, I took exit 437. Bad mistake. Second loop, I avoided it but stopped at exit 449 for fuel. Worse mistake. Third loop, I drove straight through. Made it to 7:42 a.m. before resetting. This 4th loop, I'm texting you, my past self, to help you avoid my mistakes. What happened at exit 449? The gas station exists in May 8th afternoon. The place we're avoiding, the attendant there, she wasn't human, looked human, moved human. But when she handed me my receipt, I saw her eyes. They were wrong, filmed over. And she said, "You're not supposed to be here. This time is closed." Then I was back in my truck at the Kansas border. Loop reset. I checked my fuel, half tank. I could make Grand Junction without stopping. The highway stretched ahead, empty, dark. I was the only vehicle. Had been the only vehicle since entering Colorado. 5 a.m. My phone showed May 8, 5 a.m. Time was advancing, but the date remained stuck. Another text. "You're doing well. Keep driving. Don't stop. Don't take any exits. Just drive." "Where are you now?" I asked. "I'm at 9:15 a.m., May 8th. Still driving. Still looping. But I've gone farther than any previous loop. I think I'm close to breaking free." What breaks the loop? I don't know, but I think we have to reach the moment when whatever happened on May 8th afternoon resolves. We have to drive through all of May 8th backwards and forwards until the timeline stabilizes. 6 a.m. The sky should have been lightening. Dawn approaching. But the darkness remained absolute. The stars overhead were frozen, not moving, not rotating, like time itself had stopped for everything except the highway. 7 a.m. Still dark. 8 a.m. My fuel gauge showed empty, but the engine ran smoothly. No sputtering. No power loss. I'd been driving for 8 hours on half a tank. The truck should have been empty hours ago. The laws of physics were breaking down. 9 a.m. Text from myself. "I'm at 1:30 p.m. now. The sky is wrong. It's too bright. Like there are two suns. And I'm seeing exits that don't exist. Exit 512. Exit 649. Exit 512. Exit 649. Exit 1000. Numbers that make no sense. I think I've driven too far. Think I've gone past the breaking point. Come back," I typed. "Turn around." Can't. The highway only goes forward. There's no turnaround. No exit ramps going back. I'm committed. 10 a.m. I saw an exit sign. Exit 437. But I'd passed exit 437 hours ago. It shouldn't reappear, unless I was looping within the loop. Another exit 437. Then another. They appeared every few miles. Infinite repetitions. All showing the same county road. All showing that same figure standing at the end of the ramp. The figure that watched. Text for myself. I'm seeing them too. The figure. They're at every exit now. Hundreds of them. All identical. All watching. I think they're wardens. Keeping us in the loop. Preventing us from reaching May 8th afternoon. Why? What's in May 8th afternoon? The response took 3 minutes. I don't know. But I'm seeing signs now. Billboard messages. They say things like "turn back" and "this time is sealed" and "you cannot with seats." Whatever happened, someone something doesn't want anyone to experience it. 11 a.m. My truck's dash clock froze. The numbers stopped advancing. 11:11, 11 a.m. Stuck. But my phone continued counting. May 8th, 11:12 a.m. May 8th, 11:13 a.m. Text from myself. My clock froze too. At 30:33 p.m. I think these are significant times. Times when the event, whatever it is, was observed. The clocks freeze at moments when people witness something they shouldn't have. How do we escape? I think we have to reach the center. The exact moment. The eye of the storm. We have to drive into May 8th afternoon and witness what everyone's trying to hide. That sounds like a terrible idea. It's the only idea. I'm taking the next exit 437. I'm going to drive through it, through whatever's at the end. You should do the same. You said exit 437 leads somewhere dangerous. It does. But staying in the loop is worse. I've been driving for 9 hours subjective time, but according to my odometer, I've driven 47,000 miles. The numbers don't work. Space is breaking down along with time. If we stay in the loop, we'll dissolve, become part of the endless highway. I've seen them. Drivers who've been looping so long they're part of the road now. Their trucks phase in and out. Ghost vehicles. Keep driving, forever, unable to escape. I saw what he meant. A phantom semi appeared in my mirror. Same model as mine. Same company logo. It followed for 30 seconds, then faded into transparency. Vanished. Exit 437 appeared ahead. I took it. The off-ramp curved normally. Standard radius. But the curve didn't end. It kept curving, tighter and tighter. I was driving in a spiral. Descending. The ramp wound down like a corkscrew into earth. My headlights showed asphalt. Reflective markers. Normal road materials. But I was driving underground, beneath the highway, into depths that shouldn't exist below Interstate 70. The spiral ended. I emerged into afternoon sunlight. May 8, 2047 p.m., according to my phone. I was on I-70. But wrong. The highway stretched ahead, but vehicles sat motionless. Cars, trucks, RVs, hundreds of them. All stopped, all empty, doors open, engines running, but no people. I drove slowly between the abandoned vehicles, looked in windows, saw personal items, phones on seats, food on dashboards, suitcases in trunks. Evidence of lives interrupted mid-journey. A billboard ahead read, "You are now entering the pause. Remain calm." The pause. Whatever happened on May 8th afternoon, they'd called it the pause. I reached a wider section of highway, some kind of plaza, more abandoned vehicles, and in the center, a structure that shouldn't exist. A building. Concrete and glass. Brutalist architecture. It sat directly on the highway, blocking all lanes. The entrance door was open. I parked, got out. The air was wrong. Too still, too quiet. No wind, no sound. Even my footsteps made no noise. I entered the building. The interior was a single vast room. In the center stood a man in a suit. He looked at me without surprise. "You're not supposed to be here," he said. His voice had no echo. "Where is here?" May 8th, 2024, 2:47 p.m. The pause. The moment that had to be sealed. What happened? Reality hiccuped. For 17 minutes, time stopped. Not locally, globally. Everything paused. Consciousness, movement, processes, all frozen. The universe stopped and then restarted. But the stopped moment remains. 17 minutes exist outside the time stream. We, the continuity, sealed it, routed time around it. The loop you experienced is the detour, traffic avoidance. Who are you? Maintenance. We ensure causality continues. The pause threatened that. So we isolated it. This highway, this afternoon, this moment they're quarantined. The people, the abandoned cars, where are they? Still paused. Consciousness frozen at 2047 p.m. They'll remain here until we determine how to safely reintegrate them. It may be decades. It may be centuries. It may be never. Let them go. We can't. If we release them, they'll carry the pause with them. Contaminate normal time. Reality will fragment. We can't risk it. I looked at the abandoned vehicles through the building's glass walls. Hundreds of lives suspended. "You need to leave," the man said. "Return to the loop. Eventually you'll be routed forward to May 9th. You'll forget this. The loop erases memory. That's its function." I won't forget. You will. Everyone does. A text arrived on my phone, from myself. "I'm here too, in the building. Can you see me?" I looked around. Saw no one except the man in the suit. "Check the reflective surfaces," the text said. I looked at the glass walls, saw my reflection, and beside my reflection, another me. Same clothes, same face, but older, exhausted, haunted. "I'm the version of you from the fourth loop," the reflection said, speaking to my phone's text-to-speech. "I've been here before, many times. Each loop, I try to free the paused people. Each loop I fail. Each loop I forget. How do we break the cycle? We don't. The cycle is protection. The pause is quarantined. We're antibodies. We loop to prevent others from reaching here. Our consciousness circles the infection to stop its spread. That's insane. Yes, but it's necessary. The pause must remain sealed. If you try to take those people with you, you'll spread the contamination. You'll pause others. It's infectious. The man in the suit nodded. Your future self understands. You will too, after enough loops. I ran. Back to my truck. Started the engine, drove forward through the plaza, weaving between abandoned vehicles. The highway ahead curved up, an on-ramp in reverse. I ascended. The spiral wound upward. Tighter and tighter. Sunlight faded. Darkness returned. I emerged onto I-70. Normal highway. Night. Empty road. My dash clock read 11:47 p.m. My phone date showed May 9, 2024. I'd broken free. I'd escaped the loop. I drove to Grand Junction, delivered my strawberries. The date was May 10th. The cargo arrived on schedule. Everything was normal. But I remember the pause. Remember May 8th afternoon. Remember the abandoned vehicles and the man in the suit and my future self trapped in reflections. I drive I-70 every month. The route's part of my regular rotation. And every time I pass through Kansas and Colorado, I watch for exit 437. It's always there. Always showing that same county road. Always displaying that figure at the end of the ramp. And sometimes, late at night, I receive texts from my own number. Don't take exit 437. Avoid the loop. I'm still here, still driving. How many loops now? I've lost count. My future self is still trapped. Still circling May 8th. Still trying to warn his past iterations. And maybe I'm not free. Maybe this is another loop. Maybe I'll eventually arrive back at that Kansas border and start again. Maybe we're all looping. Maybe every highway is a circle. Maybe time is a loop we drive forever, forgetting and remembering, trapped and free, moving forward while going backwards. I check my phone compulsively now. Watch for messages from myself. Last night I received one. I'm coming around again. I'll be you soon. Don't fight it, just drive. The loop protects everyone else. We're the sacrifice, the guardrail, the barrier between the pause and the world. I haven't responded. What would I say? Story number 4. The fog that shows you where you'll die. The fog rolled across State Route 6 in Nevada at 4:12 a.m., and when it cleared 3 minutes later, I was parked at a truck stop that wouldn't be built for another 17 years, watching my truck burn with my future corpse inside. I'd been driving through empty desert. March 29th, 2024. Clear night. Stars visible horizon to horizon. No weather. No precipitation. The kind of crystalline desert darkness where you can see for miles. Then fog appeared. Instantly. No gradual formation. Just suddenly there. Thick. White. Impenetrable. My headlights reflected back. Useless. Visibility dropped to 0. I slowed. 10 miles per hour. 5. Crawling forward. The fog pressed against my windshield like a solid mass. 3 minutes. That's how long I drove blind. 3 minutes at maybe 4 miles per hour. The fog vanished as instantly as it appeared. Just gone. Clear air. But everything was different. I was parked. Engine off. My truck sat in a parking lot. A massive parking lot, commercial development. I could see buildings, a truck stop, a distribution center, a hotel, all modern, all new construction. None of it had existed 3 minutes ago. SR6 through this section was empty desert. No development for 60 miles in any direction. I checked my GPS. It showed my location correctly, same coordinates. But the landscape didn't match. Then I saw my truck. 50 yards away. Same model. Freightliner. Same company logo. Same license plate. Identical to the vehicle I was sitting in. And it was burning. Flames consumed the cab. Black smoke poured from broken windows. The fire was intense. Catastrophic. I got out. Ran toward the burning truck. Heat pushed me back from 30 feet away. I shielded my face. Tried to see inside the cab. There was someone in the driver's seat, motionless. Silhouette visible through flames. A person burning. I screamed. Looked for a fire extinguisher. Looked for help. The parking lot was empty. The buildings were dark. Nobody responded. The cab's door hung open. Partially melted. I could see the driver's arm, visible between flames. The sleeve was burned away. The skin was charred. But I could see something on the wrist. A tattoo. A compass rose. The same tattoo I had on my right wrist. The corpse in my burning truck was me. I backed away, stumbled, fell, sat on the pavement and watched myself burn. The fire burned for 11 minutes. Then fire trucks arrived. Firefighters deployed, extinguished the flames, approached the wreckage cautiously. I heard radio chatter. One firefighter spoke into his handset. Confirmed fatality. Driver trapped in cab. Looks like electrical fire. Fast burn. They extracted the body, placed it on a gurney, covered it with a sheet. The sheet immediately soaked through with fluids. The corpse beneath was badly burned, unrecognizable. But I knew with absolute certainty, that corpse was me. A police car arrived. An officer approached the firefighters. I heard fragments. Bison's plate registered to interstate carrier. Driver would be Notify Company. I checked my truck, the truck I'd arrived in. Still parked where it had appeared. Still intact. Still functional. I got in. Started the engine. The truck responded normally. I drove toward the exit. The parking lot connected to a highway. Brand new asphalt. Fresh paint on the lane markers. A sign read, Interstate 70, opening November 2041. 2041. 17 years in the future. I merged onto the pristine highway. Drove east, trying to understand. The desert landscape looked similar, but developed. Solar farms. Wind turbines. Structures that didn't exist in 2024. After 12 miles, I encountered fog again. Same instant appearance. Same white impenetrable wall. I drove through it for 3 minutes. When it cleared, I was back on State Route 6. The desert was empty again. Undeveloped. The sky showed stars. My phone's date read, March 29, 2024, 4018 a.m. 6 minutes had elapsed total. 3 minutes into the fog. 3 minutes in the future. 3 minutes back. I pulled over, sat shaking, tried to process what I'd witnessed. I'd see my death. 17 years from now, burning in my truck at a future location that didn't exist yet. My phone had no signal. I couldn't call anyone. Couldn't report what I'd seen. And what would I report? I time traveled through fog and watched myself die in 2041. I posted on Trucker Watch from the next town. Used the Wi-Fi at a McDonald's. Described everything. 49 responses within 3 hours. User DSERT. Doster Ponimat. That fog is known. Drivers call it the mortality fog. It appears on empty highways. Takes you forward to the moment and place of your death. Lets you witness it. Then brings you back. User Timeline. Trasher Prusher. I drove through it in Arizona. 2019. The fog took me to 2036. I saw myself dead at a rest stop. Heart attack. Slumped over the steering wheel. Paramedics were already there. Too late. I watched them pronounce me dead. Then the fog returned to me. User Final. Why does it show us? What's the purpose? User Death Ufgate. Change your future. I saw myself die in a crash on I-95 in 2027. Specific date. Specific mile marker. When that date comes, I won't drive I-95. I'll avoid it. The fog gave me information to change fate. But could fate be changed? If the fog showed me burning in 2041, was that fixed? Or could I make different choices? I researched the location, the coordinates where I'd seen my death. In 2024, it was empty desert. But development plans existed. A major truck stop complex was approved for construction beginning 2038. Scheduled completion, 2041. The timeline matched. I researched electrical fires in Freightliner trucks, common causes, battery failures, wiring faults, alternator malfunctions, all preventable with proper maintenance. I could avoid this. I could maintain my truck meticulously, replace wiring preemptively, upgrade electrical systems. When 2041 arrived, I'd be ready. But then I read more forum posts, drivers who'd seen their deaths, who tried to prevent them. User Arawad Duker Rage Ghost. The fog showed me drowning. My truck went off a bridge in Ohio. 2033. I vowed to avoid that bridge. Spent years planning alternate routes. But in 2033, I was forced to use that bridge. Detour due to road construction. Accident on my alternate route. Every path led to that bridge, and the drowning happened, exactly as the fog showed. User Fate, or Sate Holder. I tried to change it. Saw myself die in a truck stop shooting. Random violence. 2029. I stopped going to truck stops. Slept in my cab. Avoided all public areas. But in 2029, my truck broke down. Right outside a truck stop. While I was waiting for a tow, a shooter arrived, started killing people. I died exactly as the fog predicted. User Mortality Driver, you can't change it. The fog doesn't show a possible future. It shows the future, the fixed moment, the end point. Trying to avoid it just leads you to it through different paths. Fate adjusts. I didn't want to believe this. Didn't want to accept that my death was fixed. That 17 years from now, I'd burn in that truck no matter what I did. But the evidence was consistent. Dozens of drivers, all saw their deaths, all tried to prevent them, all failed. The fog showed truth. Unavoidable truth. I kept driving, kept working. What else could I do? 17 years is a long time. Maybe things would change. Maybe I'd find a way. But 3 months later, I encountered the fog again. Different highway. Same phenomenon. 3 minutes of blindness. Emergence into the future. This time, the future was 2054, 30 years ahead. I wasn't in my truck, I was in a hospital room. Old, connected to machines, dying slowly. The date on the wall calendar read, July 19, 2054. A nurse entered. Checked my vitals, looked at the monitors with sad eyes. She spoke to someone outside. He doesn't have long, maybe hours. I was dying of old age, natural causes, 30 years in my future. But this contradicted the first vision. The first fog showed me burning in 2041. This fog showed me dying naturally in 2054, which was true. The fog returned me to 2024. I posted about the contradiction. The responses were disturbing. User Paradox Swearshrate. The fog shows multiple endpoints, different possible deaths. The closer you get to the moment, the more the timeline solidifies. You saw a possible death in 41. You saw another in 54. Maybe both are potential. Maybe neither is fixed yet. User Q12 Mershatulir. The fog accesses parallel timelines, different versions of your future. In one timeline, you burn in 41. In another, you survive to 54. The fog can't tell which timeline you're actually in, so it shows all of them. But a third theory emerged from user Mortality Unscathed SA Gene. The fog shows the deaths you're aware of. Once you see a death, you change behavior slightly. That creates a new timeline, a new death. The fog will keep showing you deaths until you stop trying to avoid them, until you accept mortality. Only then does it show you the true endpoint. I encountered the fog 7 more times over the next year. Each time, a different death. 2032, car accident. Head-on collision on I-40, 2045, cancer. Dying in hospice. 2061, Alzheimer's. Don't recognize my own family. 2029, murdered. Stabbed in a truck stop parking lot. 2058, suicide. I couldn't see the method, but the note was clear. 2038, stroke. Collapsed mid-delivery. 2072, extreme old age. 104 years old, dying peacefully in sleep. 7 different deaths, 7 different futures, all shown by the fog. all potentially real. I stopped trying to prevent any of them. What was the point? The fog would just show me another, and another. An infinite array of possible endings. The most recent fog encounter was last week, May 2nd, 2025. The fog took me to 2041 again. The same truck stop, the same burning truck. But this time, I watched more carefully. I saw what caused the fire. A fuel leak, diesel dripping onto hot exhaust components. The leak was slow, had been developing for weeks, unnoticed, until the moment when accumulated diesel reached ignition temperature. I saw myself in the cab. Future me. I was asleep, parked overnight. The fire started under the truck, spread rapidly. By the time future me woke up, the cab was engulfed. The door mechanism had melted, jammed. Future me couldn't escape. I watched myself die, watched myself scream, watched myself burn. The fog returned me. Now I know exactly how it happens. Fuel leak, hot exhaust. Parking overnight at that specific location in 2041. I can prevent it. I can inspect my fuel lines religiously. I can avoid that truck stop. I can never park overnight. But will that just lead me to one of the other deaths? The accident? The murder? The stroke? Is there a version of me that makes all the right choices and dies peacefully at 104? Or is that future as doomed as the burning truck? I don't know. The fog still appears. Last month, 2 weeks ago, yesterday. Each time it shows me death, different deaths, different futures, different versions of the end. I drive through it now without fear. Just curiosity, wondering which death the fog will show next. Wondering which timeline I'm actually living in. Maybe all of them. Maybe every death is real. Maybe I die in the burning truck and also in the car crash and also peacefully in my sleep at 104. Maybe consciousness splits. Maybe I experience every ending simultaneously. The fog doesn't answer. It just shows. Different highways, different nights, different deaths. I saw my death again last night. 2068. I'm 90 years old, surrounded by grandchildren I've never met. I close my eyes. I stop breathing. It's gentle, painless. That's the death I prefer. But can I choose, or does the fog show me every ending? Because all endings are inevitable, and the choosing is illusion. I drive empty highways. I wait for fog. I've seen my death 47 times now. I wonder how many deaths I have left to witness. Story number 5, the radio station that broadcasts your last words. My FM scanner locked onto 97.7 at 1:38 a.m. while I was driving through Wyoming on I-80, and the voice that came through the static was mine, saying words I'd never spoken. Tell Sarah I'm sorry. Tell her the cargo wasn't worth it. Tell her. Then screaming, then silence, then the broadcast started over. I was hauling standard freight. Automotive parts. Nothing valuable. Nothing dangerous. Nothing worth dying for. And I'd never dated anyone named Sarah. I pulled the scanner cord. The radio went dead. But 3 seconds later, it reactivated on its own. Power flowing from nowhere. The same broadcast. My voice. The apology. The screaming. The loop. I smashed the scanner against the dashboard. Plastic shattered. Circuit board cracked. The device went dark. My phone's FM radio app opened by itself. Tuned to 97.7. The broadcast continued. Tell Sarah I'm sorry. Tell her the cargo wasn't worth it. Tell her screaming, silence, repeat. I was alone on I-80, 2:47 a.m., empty highway stretching to darkness. No other vehicles, no towns. Just road and darkness and my voice broadcasting my own death. I tried changing channels. The app wouldn't respond. Locked on 97.7. Locked on my final words. Then the broadcast changed. Different words. Still my voice. I should have checked the brakes. I should have known. Oh God, I can't stop. I can't. Impact sounds, metal crushing, glass shattering, then screaming, then silence, then repeat. Another death. Different death. Same voice. I turned off my phone. It turned back on. 97.7. Another broadcast. This is driver 734 requesting emergency assistance. I'm at mile marker 192. There's something on the road. Something that shouldn't exist. It's approaching my truck. I don't think I can. Tearing sounds, wet sounds, screaming, silence, repeat. How many deaths was I broadcasting? How many final messages? I threw my phone out the window, watched it tumble onto the shoulder, watched it disappear in my mirrors. My truck CB radio activated. Channel 19. My voice. Mayday, mayday, mayday. Truck 847. Lost control. Southbound I-25 mile marker 318. Rolling. Oh Christ, I'm rolling. Tumbling sounds. Shattering. Crushing. Silence. Repeat. I'd never driven I-25 near mile marker 318. I'd never lost control. I'd never rolled. But my voice insisted I had. Insisted I would. Insisted I was dying in multiple futures, broadcasting final words backward through time. The CB cycled through channels automatically. Each channel carried a different death. Channel 1. Fire. Can't get out. Doors jammed. Smoke everywhere. Can't breathe. Channel 5. Shot. I've been shot. Robbery at the fuel island. Someone help. Channel 13. Cardiac arrest. Pain in my chest. Left arm. Numb. Not now. Please not now. Channel 19. Jackknife. Lost traction. Sliding into oncoming. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to. Dozens of channels. Dozens of deaths. All my voice. All my final words. All broadcasting simultaneously. I pulled over. Sat shaking. Every speaker in my truck was transmitting. The CB. The stereo. The backup alarm. The LD tablet. Even the refrigerator unit in my trailer hummed with my voice. My truck had become a chorus of dying. A vehicle approached from behind. First traffic I'd seen in 90 minutes. A pickup truck. It pulled alongside. The driver rolled down his window. "You hear it too?" he shouted. I nodded. Station 97.7. Yes. How did you? It's not just you. It's everyone. Everyone on this stretch of I-80. We're all broadcasting our deaths. He held up his phone. I heard his voice coming from it. Shouldn't have driven drunk. Shouldn't have thought I could make it. I'm off the road. Flipping. This is how The man looked terrified. That's not how I drive. I don't drink. I'd never drink and drive. But there it is. My voice. My death. Why is this happening? Mile marker 188. Something happened there. Something that broke causality. Now everyone who passes through here broadcasts forward from their deaths, future transmissions bleeding backward into present moments. How do we stop it? We don't. We just drive through, get past a mile marker 188, get out of the transmission zone, then it stops. Have you passed through? Trying to. But every time I reach 188, I loop back to 179. I've been driving this same 9-mile stretch for 6 hours. Can't escape. He pulled away, accelerated toward mile marker 188. I watched his taillights recede. 3 minutes later, his pickup appeared behind me again. Same vehicle, same driver. He didn't stop this time, just kept driving forward, toward 188, toward the loop point. I started my engine, began driving. My truck's speakers continued broadcasting deaths. I tried to ignore them, tried to focus on the road. Mile marker 180, 182, 182. A semi was parked on the shoulder, abandoned, door open, engine running. I slowed, looked inside the cab. Empty. But the CB was active, broadcasting. Don't stop at mile marker 188. Whatever you see there isn't real. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't static. Silence. Repeat. Mile marker 184. 185. More abandoned vehicles. 6 cars. 2 trucks. All parked. all empty, all with radios broadcasting final words. Mile marker 186. Something stood in the road ahead. A figure, human-shaped, but wrong, too tall, proportions distorted. It stood motionless in my lane. Watching my approach, my truck's speakers went silent. All of them, simultaneously. The broadcast stopped. Then a new voice came through. Not mine. Older, deeper. This is station 97.7. The mortality frequency. Broadcasting from the end of all roads. Turn back. Mile marker 188 is closed. I slowed. The figure in the road didn't move. What happened at mile marker 188? I asked aloud. The voice answered. A driver died. But he died in the future. 20 years from now, and his death was so absolute, so final, so heavy with inevitability, that it collapsed the timeline. His ending created a gravitational well. Now, every death that will happen on this highway is pulled toward that moment. All final words. All last transmissions. They pool at mile marker 188, broadcasting backward, warning those of us still living. Who was the driver? You. The word hit like a fist. What? The driver who died at mile marker 188 20 years from now is you. Your death anchors all other deaths. Your end is the singularity. Every broadcast you're hearing, every final word is a version of your death. Different timelines, different choices, different roads, but all ending at mile marker 188. I can avoid it. I won't drive I-80 in the future. I'll avoid Wyoming. You can't avoid it. The deaths you're hearing aren't predictions, they're echoes. You've already died at 188 in multiple timelines. The deaths have happened. Now they're broadcasting backward to your present moment, warning you, showing you, but you'll still arrive at the moment, still die at 188, still broadcast your final words. The figure in the road stepped aside, gestured forward, inviting me to continue. Mile marker 187 appeared, then 188. The mile marker sign was wrong. Instead of standard green and white, it was red. Deep red. And below the number were words, terminus, all roads end here. I stopped my truck, sat looking at the sign. My voice came through every speaker. I'm at mile marker 188. This is where it happens. I can see it now. The end. Not just my end, everyone's end. All deaths lead here. All roads terminate. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I've thought I could drive forever. Thought the road was infinite. But there's an edge, and I've reached it. Tell Sarah. Who the fuck is Sarah? I screamed. My voice answered. You'll meet her in 7 years. Fall in love. Get married. She'll beg you not to drive I-80 in winter. But you'll take the route anyway. For a high-paying load. You'll think it's worth the risk. You'll be wrong. You'll die at mile marker 188 20 years from tonight. And your last thoughts will be of her. And how you chose cargo over life. Over love. Over her. I put my truck in reverse, backed away from mile marker 188. The broadcast continued. You can't escape by reversing. The moment exists at 188. But it also exists wherever you are. Right now. In this moment, you're living in the broadcast. You're already dead. This is the echo. I'm alive, I said. Are you? How do you know? How do you know this isn't the transmission? How do you know you're not already at mile marker 188, dying, broadcasting backward to a past self who thinks he's still living? I looked at my hands. They seemed solid, real. I felt my heartbeat, felt my breath. But doubt crept in. Was I living? Or was I remembering living? Was this present moment or a transmission from my death? The figure approached my truck, Got close enough for me to see details. It looked like me, bolder, maybe 50. My face aged by 20 years. It pressed its hand against my driver's window. "I'm your death," it said. Its voice came through my speakers. "I'm the moment at mile marker 188. I'm 20 years ahead. And I'm here to tell you, you can't change this. The road leads here. Every choice leads here. Sarah will beg you not to drive. You'll drive anyway. The cargo will seem important. It won't be. You'll crash. You'll die. You'll broadcast backward through time, and that broadcast will reach your younger self on this night, this moment. Mile marker 188. Where we're standing. Where we've always been standing." "I won't meet Sarah," I said. "I'll avoid relationships. I'll make different choices. You'll meet her. You'll fall in love. You'll die here anyway. This conversation is part of the timeline. Your rebellion is pre-recorded. Your determination is a transmission. Everything you think you're choosing has already been chosen. By me, by the death standing at mile marker 188. I drove forward. Through the figure, it dissolved like smoke. I passed mile marker 188. Nothing happened. The road continued. Normal highway. Normal night. I checked my mirrors. Mile marker 188 receded behind me. Mile marker 189 appeared ahead. My phone's radio app was silent. No more broadcasts. No more deaths. I passed through. I'd escaped. I drove to the next town. Stopped in a motel. Slept for 11 hours. When I woke, my phone showed 17 missed calls, all from a number I didn't recognize. I called back. A woman answered. "Thank God. I've been trying to reach you all night. This is Sarah. We met last week at the truck stop in Denver. You gave me your number. Said you'd call. You didn't. I was worried. I didn't remember meeting Sarah. Didn't remember Denver last week. Didn't remember giving anyone my number. But her voice was familiar, like I'd heard it before. In the broadcasts. In the final words. "I want to see you again," Sarah said. "Are you driving to Wyoming? I'm in Laramie. We could meet." I should have said no. Should have hung up. Should have avoided her. But I heard myself say, "I'm in Wyoming now. I can be there in 3 hours. 20 years from now. I'll die at mile marker 188. I know this. The broadcast told me. My future self told me. The mortality frequency told me. But I drove to Laramie anyway. I met Sarah. Fell in love. Got married. She begs me not to drive I-80 in winter. I drive it anyway. The cargo seems important. It never is. Station 97.7 is still broadcasting. I hear it sometimes, late at night. My voice. My final words. Tell Sarah I'm sorry. Tell her the cargo wasn't worth it. Tell her, 20 years from now, I'll complete that sentence. 20 years from now, I'll die at mile marker 188. 20 years from now, I'll broadcast my ending backward to myself, and the loop will close, and the road will end. And station 97.7 will play my death forever. Story number 6. The rest area where everyone is you. I pulled into the rest area on US 95 in Idaho at 5:04 a.m., and every person there had my face 7 versions of me using the bathroom, buying snacks, sleeping in vehicles, staring at me with recognition that bordered on terror. I've been driving 14 hours, hauling lumber from Oregon to Montana. I needed coffee in a bathroom and 15 minutes away from the road. The rest area appeared standard state facility. Parking for 20 vehicles, restroom building, vending machines, information kiosk. 4 vehicles were parked, 2 semis, 1 RV, 1 ARV, 1 sedan, normal. The building lights were on. I parked, walked to the restroom, pushed open the door. A man stood at the sink washing his hands. He looked up. Our eyes met in the mirror. He had my face, exactly my face, same features, same scars, same asymmetrical eyebrows, but he wore different clothes, different expression, different age, maybe 5 years younger. We stared at each other. "You're new," he said. His voice was mine but lighter. less damaged. What the fuck is happening? You drove in. You stopped here. Now you're here. With us. With who? The rest of you. He walked past me toward the exit. I grabbed his arm. Wait. Explain. He pulled free. There's nothing to explain. This is the rest area. We're all you. Different versions, different timelines, different choices, but all you. You'll understand after you meet the others. He left. I stood alone in the restroom, looked at myself in the mirror, same face I'd seen my entire life, but now contaminated by the knowledge that 7 other people wore it. I walked outside. The younger version of me was talking to 2 other men near the vending machines. Both had my face. One was older, maybe 60. Gray hair. Deep wrinkles. One was younger, maybe 25, the way I'd looked when I first started trucking. They all turned when I emerged. All 6 eyes, my eyes multiplied, focused on me. 41 years old, the 60-year-old me said. Not a question, a statement. Drove from Coos Bay, lumber cargo. Scheduled delivery in Missoula day after tomorrow. How did you know? Because I did the same run, in my timeline. Stopped here at 5:04 a.m., met myself. 7 versions, just like you're doing now. The 25-year-old me lit a cigarette. There are 7 of us currently. We rotate. Someone leaves, someone new arrives. Always 7. Always you. What is this place? The 60-year-old gestured to the parking area. Nexus point. Location where multiple timelines converge. Every choice you've made, every road you took, every route you chose, every decision that seemed minor created a branch. A parallel timeline, a different you. This rest area sits at the intersection of those timelines. When you stop here, you meet the other versions. I saw them now. All 7. 4 stood near vehicles. 1 sat at a picnic table. 1 was walking from the restroom. 1 approached from the information kiosk. All had my face. All moved with variations of my gait. All wore expressions I'd seen in my own mirror. Why here? I asked. Why this rest area? The 60-year-old shrugged. Nobody knows. Some geographic anomaly. Some quantum fluctuation. Something about this exact location allows timeline convergence. You stopped here in multiple timelines, so now all those versions of you are present simultaneously. The version who'd been at the picnic table approached. He looked my age but different. Healthier, less tired. I'm the one who quit trucking in 2016. Went back to school. Became an accountant. I still stop at rest areas out of habit. And I still end up here, meeting myself. Another version joined us. Older, look late 50s. I'm the one who stayed married. Had 3 kids. Drove regional to be home weekends. The marriage lasted. The kids are grown, but I still end up here. Still meet versions of me who made different choices. The youngest version spoke. I'm the one who died in a crash in 2010. I didn't survive past 25, but somehow I'm still here, still appearing at this rest area, still meeting the versions of me who lived. I step back. You're dead. In my timeline, yes. Crashed on I-90. Died instantly. But consciousness doesn't end. It fragments. And the fragments end up here, where all my timelines intersect. The 60-year-old nodded. We're all fragments. All echoes. The rest area collects us. Traps us maybe. We try to leave, God knows we try, but we always end up back here. Different vehicles. Different routes. Different years. But we always return. I just arrived, I said. I can leave. Can you? The 60-year-old pointed to my truck. I looked. My Peterbilt was gone. In its place sat a different truck. Same model. Same company logo. But different license plate. Different wear patterns. Different truck. That's not mine. It is. But it's a different timelines version. When you entered the rest area, you shifted. Now you're in a convergent state. You're all 7 versions simultaneously, and the truck you leave in might not be the truck you arrived in. I walked to the truck, climbed in. The interior was similar but wrong. Different air freshener, different logbook, The name on the registration was mine, but the address was different. An address in a state I'd never lived. I started the engine, put it in gear, drove toward the exit. The exit loop led back to the parking area. I completed a circle and ended up where I started. I tried again. Same result. The 60-year-old was waiting when I parked. Told you, the rest area doesn't let go easily. You're here until a new version arrives. Then one of us leaves. That's the rule. 7 at a time. No more, no less. How long have you been here? I arrived in what felt like 2038. That was 6 subjective years ago. But time moves strangely here. Could have been 6 years, could have been 60. I don't know anymore. The dead version, the 25-year-old approached. I've been here since I died. 2010. 14 years. Or maybe 14 minutes. Time collapses. Days feel like hours. Hours feel like years. Someone new will arrive soon, the accountant version said. We've been 7 for a while. The rest area is due for rotation. We waited. All 7 versions of me sitting at picnic tables, or standing near vehicles, or pacing the parking area. All waiting for an 8th version to arrive. All knowing that when he did, one of us would be released. Headlights appeared. A vehicle pulled off US 95. Entered the rest area. A pickup truck. The driver parked. Got out. Looked toward our group. He had my face. Younger. Maybe 19. The age I'd been when I first left home. Oh fuck, he said, seeing us. What is this? Welcome, the 60-year-old said. You're the 8th, which means one of us leaves. Light enveloped the youngest version, the one who died in 2010. He looked surprised. Relieved. Finally, He vanished. Just gone. The light faded. 7 versions remained, including the 19-year-old, who stared at us with horror. I'm trapped. I'm stuck here. Until the next version arrives, I said. Then one of us leaves. Maybe you, maybe someone else. It's random. This is insane. Yes. We sat together. 8 versions of me, discussing our lives, our choices, our timelines. The accountant version described his timeline. He'd quit trucking, pursued education, built a stable life. He seemed content, until he described his marriage. I'm happy, but I wonder sometimes, what if I'd stayed on the road? What adventures did I miss? What experiences? The oldest version described his timeline. Drove for 41 years. Saw every state. Never settled. I'm free, but I'm alone. I wonder what family would have felt like. What roots would have meant. The version who'd stayed married described his timeline. Kids, grandkids, home life. I have love, but I wonder what the open road felt like. What solitude meant. Every version expressed the same thing, wondering. What if? The other path. And now we sat together. Proof that all paths were real. All choices manifested. All versions existed. Which one of us is the real me? The 19-year-old asked. All of us, I said. None of us. Where probabilities collapsed into single points. The rest area shows us what quantum physics suggests. That every choice creates a branch, a new timeline. We're all real. All valid. All living different versions of the same life. Time passed. Hours maybe. Days possibly. 7 versions of me waiting for an 8th to arrive. Finally, headlights. Another vehicle. Another version of me. This one, middle-aged. 53 maybe. He parked, saw us, sighed. Here again. You've been here before, I asked. 3 times. I keep arriving. Keep getting released. Keep arriving again. This rest area has a hold on me. Light enveloped the accountant version. He looked sad. I wanted to stay longer. Wanted to understand more. He vanished. 7 remained. The cycle continued. New versions arrived. Old versions vanished. I remained. Watched versions of myself come and go. Met versions who'd made choices I couldn't imagine. Versions who lived lives completely divergent from mine. I met the version who became a writer. The version who joined the military. The version who never left his hometown. The version who traveled the world. The version who died young. The version who lived to 100. All me. All valid. All real in their timelines. Then light enveloped me. I felt myself pulling away from the rest area. Felt timelines collapsing. Felt myself being pulled back towards singularity. I opened my eyes. I was in my truck. Park at the rest area entrance. Not inside. Not at the parking spaces. At the entrance. About to pull in. My clock showed 5:03 a.m. 1 minute before I'd originally entered. I sat gripping the wheel. Deciding. I could enter. Could meet the 7 versions. Could spend hours or days or years trapped in the convergence. Or I could drive past. Could avoid the rest area. Could continue my route. I drove past. In my mirror, I saw 7 figures standing in the rest area parking lot. All watching my truck recede. All wearing my face. All raising hands in farewell. I've driven US 95 6 times since then. Each time, I pass that rest area. Each time, I see versions of myself standing in the parking lot. 7 of them. Always 7. Always watching. Always waiting for the next version to arrive. I've never stopped again. But I wonder, are those versions still there? Are they still waiting? Are they still me? Or did I become one of them? Did I enter the rest area and never leave? Am I one of the 7 now, watching other versions drive past, wondering if I'll ever be released? I don't know. I check my reflection constantly, making sure my face is still singular, still only mine, making sure I haven't splintered into 7 versions sitting at a rest area on US 95, waiting forever at the intersection of every choice I could have made. Story number 7. The detour that adds extra days to your life. The detour sign appeared on Highway 50 in Utah at 2:26 a.m., directing me onto a county road that wasn't on any map. And when I emerged 6 hours later, I'd aged backward 14 years, and my daughter, who died in 2017, was calling my phone asking why I'd missed her graduation. I'd been driving east. June 6th, 2024, standard route. I'd driven Highway 50 through Utah hundreds of times. Knew every mile, every landmark, every turn. The detour sign was new. Large, official looking. Highway 50 closed, detour ahead. Folo Calosto, weighed 117. No construction equipment visible. No barriers. No explanation. Just the sign. County Road 117, branched south. 2-lane asphalt, well maintained. It looked legitimate. I took the detour. The road wound through desert. Empty, dark. My GPS showed no road here, just blank space. But the asphalt was real. The painted lines were real. I was driving on something. Mile after mile, the road curved, rose, fell, crossed dry washes, normal topography, but GPS insisted I was driving through nothing. Then I noticed the phone. The date was wrong. My lock screen showed June 6, 2010. 2010, 14 years ago. I pulled over, checked the date settings, checked the cellular network. Everything showed 2010. I looked at my hands. They looked younger. The age spots were gone. The arthritis stiffness was gone. The calluses from decades of gripping steering wheels were reduced. I found a mirror. My face was younger, 42 instead of 56. The gray in my beard was gone. The deep wrinkles around my eyes were diminished. I'd driven backward through time. The detour wasn't routing around construction. It was routing through years. My phone rang. Caller ID, Emma. Emma was my daughter. Emma had died in a car crash in 2017. She'd been 23. I'd been at her funeral. I'd watched her casket lowered. I grieved for 7 years, but the phone said Emma was calling. I answered. Hello? Dad? Where are you? The ceremony started 20 minutes ago. Everyone's asking about you. Emma. My voice broke. Yes, Dad. Are you okay? You sound weird. What ceremony? My graduation. College graduation. You promised you'd be here. You said you'd drive through the night to make it. Where are you? College graduation, 2010. Emma had graduated college in June 2010. I'd been there. I remembered. I'd watched her walk across the stage. I'd taken photos. I'd cried with pride. But that was 14 years ago. In my timeline, Emma had died 7 years later, in 2017, aged 23. Now it was 2010 again, and Emma was alive, calling me, asking why I was late. "I'll be there," I said. "I'm sorry. I got detoured, but I'm coming." "Hurry, Dad. I want you to meet my professors and my friends. And Dad, I love you too." "I love you too, Emma." She hung up. I sat in my truck on County Road 117 in June 2010 and cried. My daughter was alive. I'd been given 14 years back. I'd been given another chance. I continued driving the detour. The road eventually curved north, rejoined Highway 50. A sign read, "ENDT Ort, resume Highway 50 EAST." I emerged onto Highway 50. But it was different. The road was older, less maintained, because it was 2010. Because I'd traveled backward. I drove to Emma's college, arrived 90 minutes late. The ceremony was over. But Emma was there, standing outside the auditorium, wearing her graduation gown, smiling. She ran to me, hugged me. "You made it." I held her. She was real, solid, warm, alive. "I'm so proud of you," I said. "I know, Dad. You tell me every day." I spent 3 days with Emma, met her friends, met her professors, took her to dinner, talked about her future, her plans, her dreams. She wanted to move to Seattle, pursue graphic design, start a business. In my original timeline, the timeline I'd left when I took the detour, Emma had moved to Seattle. She'd been driving to a job interview in 2017 when a drunk driver crossed the center line. The collision killed her instantly. Now I knew the exact date, the exact location. I could prevent it. I could save her. I drove back to Utah, looked for the detour, for County Road 117, for the road that had brought me backward through time. I couldn't find it. Highway 50 showed no detour signs, no branching county roads, no route into the past. I'd used the detour once, now it was gone. I was stuck in 2010, 14 years before my original timeline, with Emma alive and 7 years left before her death. I quit trucking, moved to Seattle, got an apartment near Emma's, told her I wanted to be closer, wanted to be part of her life. She was confused but happy. We had dinner twice a week. I watched her business grow, watched her thrive. 2017 approached. I knew the date, March 14th. I knew the time, 2:30 p.m. I knew the intersection, Madison and 12th. On March 14th, 2017, I called Emma. "Don't drive today. Please stay home. Take the day off. Dad, I have a huge interview. I can't miss it. Reschedule, please. I have a bad feeling." "Dad, you're being weird. I'll be fine." "Emma, I'm begging you. Don't drive to that interview." She was silent. Then, "Okay, you sound really serious. I'll reschedule." "Are you okay?" "I'm perfect." "Thank you. Thank you for trusting me." March 14th passed. Emma stayed home, rescheduled her interview. The drunk driver still crossed the center line at Madison and 12th at 2:30 p.m., but Emma wasn't there. Instead, he hit a delivery truck. The truck driver survived. Minor injuries. Emma lived. March 15th arrived. Emma was alive. I'd saved her. I'd changed the timeline. But then I noticed something wrong. My hands. The age spots were returning. The arthritis stiffness was returning. I was aging forward rapidly. I checked the mirror. My face was older. 52 instead of 42. The gray beard was returning. The wrinkles deepening. I was catching up. The detour had given me 14 years backward. But now, having changed the timeline, I was accelerating forward. My body was aging rapidly to compensate. Within 3 days, I'd aged 8 years. My body ached. My joints hurt. I looked 60, Emma noticed. Dad, you look terrible. Are you sick? I'm fine. You're not fine. You look like you've aged 10 years in 3 days. It's just stress. But it wasn't stress. It was correction. The timeline was reasserting itself. I borrowed 14 years. Now I was paying them back, with interest. Within a week I looked 70. My hair was white, my skin was thin, my body was failing. Emma took me to doctors. They ran tests, found nothing, no disease, no condition, just rapid aging, impossible aging. Dad, what's happening to you? I told her everything. The detour, the time travel, the original timeline where she died, how I'd come backward to save her. She didn't believe me at first, but she saw my face, saw me aging in real time, saw the impossible happening. You gave up your future to save me, she said. I'd do it again. But you're dying. You're aging so fast you'll be dead in weeks. I got 7 years with you that I wouldn't have had. 7 years watching you alive. That's worth it, Emma cried, held me. No, we'll find the detour. We'll send you back. We'll fix this. We drove to Utah, Highway 50, searched for County Road 117, for the detour sign, for the road that didn't appear on maps. We found it. The sign was there. Highway 50 closed. Detour ahead. Folo can dash. Road 117. Emma drove my truck. I was too weak, too old. I looked 80 now, could barely move. We took the detour, drove County Road 117 through the desert, through the darkness, through the space that GPS didn't recognize. What are we looking for? Emma asked. A way to balance the timeline, a way to stop me from aging, a way to make this permanent. The road curved, rose, fell. Then ahead, a building, concrete, brutal architecture. Sitting directly on the road, Emma stopped. We got out. The building had a door, a sign above, Temporal Customs, Declar all borrowed time. Inside was a counter. A man in a uniform stood behind it. You looked at me. You took the detour. Yes. You traveled 14 years backward. You changed a death event. You created a paradox. Now you're paying correction. Accelerated aging to restore balance. How do I stop it? You can't. You borrowed 14 years. You must repay them. Either you age rapidly and die, or what? Or you surrender equivalent time from your future. You die now instead of later. Your daughter lives. Timeline balances. Emma grabbed my arm. No, there has to be another way. The man gestured to a door behind him. There is one option. The detour can be made permanent. Your father can remain in the past, but someone must replace him in the future. Someone must take his place in the timeline he left. Someone must live his original life, including the grief, including the loss, including the years without you. Emma looked at me. What does that mean? It means someone else becomes me, I said. Someone else lives my life from 2024. Someone else drives trucks. Someone else grieves your death. Someone else experiences the timeline I abandoned. Who? The man behind the counter said, a version of you from a parallel timeline, a version where you made different choices. That version would be pulled into this timeline, would live your father's abandoned life, would experience the grief he escaped. That's horrible, Emma said. Some other version of me suffers so we can be happy? Yes, that's the cost of detours. Someone pays. Always. Emma turned to me. I can't let another version of myself suffer. I can't let her grieve her father while I keep mine. Emma, no, Dad. I'm going back. I'm taking the detour forward. I'm returning to 2024. I'm letting the timeline restore. You'll die. The crash will happen. Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe I can avoid it without you changing the past. Maybe I can just be more careful that day. Make different choices. The crash isn't inevitable. Your intervention made it seem inevitable. But maybe it's not. The man behind the counter nodded. She's correct. Death events have probabilities, not certainties. Your interference collapsed the probability wave, fixed her death as inevitable in your original timeline. But if she returns naturally, the probability reopens. She might die. She might survive. It's quantum. Emma hugged me. I'm going back, Dad. I'm letting you have your normal timeline, your normal aging, your normal life. I'll lose you, maybe, but you'll have tried. You'll have loved me. You'll have been the best father. That's enough. She walked through the door behind the counter, vanished into light. The man looked at me. Your aging will stop. Your timeline will restore. You'll return to 2024. Your daughter's fate will be probabilistic. She might live. She might die. You won't know until 2017 arrives naturally. I walked through the door, emerged on Highway 50, in Utah, June 6, 2024. My original timeline. I checked my hands. The age spots matched my actual age, 56. The rapid aging had stopped. I was restored. I drove to Seattle. Emma was 23 in this timeline, alive. I called her. Dad, why are you calling so late? Just wanted to hear your voice. Are you okay? Yeah, just miss you. Love you, Dad. Love you too, Emma. I'm living the years now, naturally. Waiting for March 14th, 2017. Wondering if Emma will survive the crash, if the probability will collapse in her favor. I can't interfere, can't warn her. The timeline corrects any interference. I tried. So I just love her. Visit her. Spend time with her. Make every moment count. Because the detour taught me something. Time is a loan. Every moment borrowed must be repaid. Every change creates cost. Every intervention has price. You can't cheat time. You can only bargain. And the price is always higher than you expect. March 14th, 2017 is 4 months away. I don't know if Emma will survive. But I know I tried. And I know that some roads, some detours, lead backward through years. If you ever see a detour sign on an empty highway, if the road doesn't appear on maps, if you feel time shifting around you, drive carefully. Every borrowed moment has a price, and someone, somewhere, always pays.